Okay, my name is Robert Mason. I'm giving a speech for Lucas Cash Communications Public Speaking. I'm currently on training right now. Haven't had the opportunity to record a video. Any free time that we get it's dedicated towards sleeping. Been non-stop go out here, so I'm gonna give it right here. Everyone's probably gonna look at me, but it's all right. I really want to get this done and turned in. Okay. It's an informative speech, and what I'm going to be talking about today is corrections and how we incarcerate more people than any other country in the world. Now, the first prison in America was built in 1620 in Pennsylvania. It was built to house those deemed unfit for society, those that broke society's rules or the laws that society deemed necessary. Now, before I even begin, I want to give a little brief introduction as to jails and prisons, because there is a difference many people don't know. Prisons are built or used for those who have committed felony offenses or those who have been sentenced to more than a year incarceration. Jails are used for those who have been sentenced to under a year or are awaiting trial. So most people that are going through trials and waiting, they'll be in jails. Now, there's a number of 5,500. If you subtract 8 from that, that's how many facilities, correctional facilities, we have here in the nation. Of that, 3,200 to 3,300 around there is dedicated to jails. So there's 3,300 facilities that makes county and city. There are 2,200 that are prisons. So 2,200 prisons spread out through the 50 states here within our nation. It's ridiculous. Now, according to crime statistics, if I had my slide, I'd remember the source. National crime, something. They state that in 1980 we incarcerated about 300,000 people. Now, in today's day and age, we incarcerate 2.4 million people. And so when you think about it, you ask, why did the number increase so drastically? And most people would say that there's been more crime in America, crime this, crime that. Well, if you look at the overall average of crime, over the past 35 years, the average of crime has been going downward. But yet the number of people we incarcerate has been going upward. Okay. Now, corrections has become some sort of money-making business for a lot of corporations. Without getting into this and starting a debate, I will state this, that CCA, Corrections Corporation of America, the largest business for incarcerating people, has sent a letter out to all 48 states here in the nation offering to buy any state or federal facility that they can. Offering to take it off their hands, not to have the burden on the government of that state to run these correctional facilities. But the catch-22 is that these facilities had to remain at 90% capacity. Well, if crime over 30 years has been going down, how do you keep correctional facilities at 90% capacity? Okay. Michelle Alexander, the author of the book, The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration, states that 10% of the people incarcerated are there for violent crimes. So when you think of corrections, you think of prisons, you think of jails, you think of violent people, you think of dark, stinky, rat-infested places that house those deemed unfit, evil people. Now that used to be the case back in medieval times when we had dungeons, or dungeons were being used as such to house people. But in today's day and age, we don't have dungeons, we have prisons and we have jails, we have a criminal justice system. But only 10% of those people, of those 2.4 million people, are incarcerated for violent crimes. So still, over the years, we have incarcerated more people. Crime's been going down. And only 10% of those people are there for violent crimes. Now, I'm also going to quote Miss Alexander in her book. As she states, 59% of those people are minorities, and 50% of those people are there for charges related to drugs. I'm going to take it one step further and quote something else she states in her book. 85% of the people incarcerated in New York are there for charges related to marijuana, the same drug that you can now recreationally use in 2 of our states and also possess a certain amount of in our nation's capital without being in trouble with the law. But yet 85% of the people incarcerated in New York are there for charges related to marijuana. So here we have it, 2.4 million people incarcerated, 50% of them are there for drug charges. So why do we incarcerate so many people? Is it a business? Yes. What started in 1980 was a war against drugs. Okay. Started by President Reagan. President Reagan had continued this campaign of war against drugs. And only 2% of the American population at the time that he was running this campaign only 2% were worried about drugs. Only 2% of Americans considered drugs to be a national issue. They had other issues at the time in the 1980s. But Reagan was persistent. He cut millions and millions of dollars, and I've added it up before. It was about $20 million, which in the 80s was a lot of money. Pretty much cut every funding used for anything positive for drug rehab, drug rehabilitation, drug education, anything positive for drugs he had cut, and he declared this war on drugs. Not only that, he had created an agency of like 300 agents, sent them out to the ghettos to publicize drugs, but what he was publicizing was the crack. These agents reported only reported to the White House, and what they were doing is their job was to publicize crack to the media and make crack awareness public. But they were sent to the black ghettos, and around this time they had this epidemic of, oh my God, crack is bad, crack is this, crack that in America. But because they were in the black ghettos, the public eye had only seen black people in the media. Now I want to continue on and state a few more things and quote President Obama in his latest speech. President Obama has stated that America only counts for 3% of the world's population. But America's incarceration rate accounts for 25%. So if you take everybody incarcerated in the world, America would make 25% of that number. Why do we incarcerate more people than any other country in the world? Bill Clinton, who followed up in the same speech at the same conference as Obama that I'm quoting now, Bill Clinton went on to further say that the laws that he had passed when he was in office, he nearly regrets passing those laws. He, hindsight, now sees how those laws have inhibited groups of people, i.e. minorities, in many ways. What the laws he passed was creating sentences, mandatory sentences for certain charges, and these charges were drugs. The one receiving the less time was crack or coke. Coke was receiving less time. The ones that received the most time were those found with crack or marijuana. And you could debate why he chose those drugs to receive more sentence time than any other drugs. But as Obama stated, in our day and age, in 2015, we now incarcerate people and punish them at rates that do not fit the crime. And this is an epidemic. America incarcerates 2.5 population incarcerated are here in America. Why are we locking up our people? Why do we continue to lock up our people? These people that have families, have kids, yes, they have a debt to society, but is the debt to society as big or as costly to the American taxpayer as what we've made it out to be? Well, that's a debate for another class. And thank you for your time.